Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Jordan, also known as J-Monster. I want to thank you for joining me for another 3rd Age Reforged replay battle. This one was sent in to me by Isengard Mech, so a big thank you to him for supporting the channel. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the army comps, and then we can jump into the game itself. Hope you guys enjoy it. The first army we're going to look at today is fittingly that of Isengard Mechs, who will also be playing equally fittingly Isengard. He's got some Uruk-hai infantry here with their armor upgrade, and I made a pact in my previous video to, well, I briefly mentioned it in any case several times, that I wouldn't talk about the next patch just because it does take up a lot of airspace in the introductions and they can get quite lengthy. But I am going to throw things in. I can't seem to stop myself, so I'm gonna give in to the temptation and say that these guys will be getting a new armor model at some point. They look a lot like the mounted Nazgai, or like the old Nazgai bodyguard unit. So it's a little bit much for an Uruk-hai unit. So I think that this is going to be this look is going to be confined to the officers and to some of the more elite units only. And the team is going to find something, find some other suitable look for the Uruk-hai infantry when they upgrade their armor. But for the time being, that's what they look like. Uruk-hai infantry, 1 unit of Warg Riders, 2 units of Warg Riders, in fact. Front line composed of Snogg skirmishers, which is a tactic that I see a fair amount of people use. And then we have the Uruk-hai archers, who have that iconic look from the Peter Jackson movies. This was made by Cowering Koma, and it is the look I've always wanted for these units ever since I started playing 3rd Age a million billion years ago. I'm old now. Yeah, I've wanted the Uruk-hai lighter units to look like this. The heavier units had the iconic look, but not these guys until recently. So big thank you to Koma for putting in the effort there. And then we have the Trolls of the White Hand, too. Oh, they're so silly. They are going to be getting a new model. I mention this probably every time I see the Trolls of the White Hand, but just in case you haven't seen some of the other videos where I talk about this, they will be getting new models. All the trolls, all the old 3rd Age troll models are going to be getting overhauled by Crimson Behelit. So they're not going to look weird with their like crazy shoulders that are way above where they need to be. I think that's probably because of the skeleton problems. Maybe some confusion between the new models and the old ones causing that to happen. That would be my guess anyway. And yeah, so that they're not going to look the same. They will, of course, have white hands and stuff to make them obviously different and delineate them from the regular trolls. But yeah, it is going to change. Dunlin and Clansmen here, forming some the support part of the line. Got a lot of Uruk-hai pikemen there. Actually, just maybe is it 1 unit? I can't tell. I think it's 2 units here of Uruk-hai pikemen forming the center of the Isengard army, and we got another couple units of the upgraded Uruk-hai infantry, and then we have the Isengard ballista, which is a fantastic unit. I will be getting a little bit more expensive in the next patch, however, just because of how fantastic it is. It is really strong, and instead of getting rid of its ammunition and potentially limiting its use in siege battles, which is what siege equipment is primarily used for, I decided just to make them a little bit more expensive. So, yeah, you will be getting what you pay for, certainly, out of that unit, but it is going to cost you. Champions of the White Hand, very strong. This is where the general is going to be as well. You can tell that's the general right there. A little bit less white on his helmet, a little bit less like pristine, stark white on his helmet than the rest of the men in the unit. And then another unit of Uruk-hai infantry over here as well. So I think that just about does it for Isengard. So let's move on to his ally, and it looks like it's going to be the High Elves of Rivendell. What do you know? The Realm of Imladris, being played by Finrod Felagund of Nargothrond. Back from the dead, apparently, to lead his brethren in combat today on the PELENNOR fields. This looks like a pretty cav-heavy army from the looks of things. Got some Imladris Riders, 1 unit of Gwythi Rhudaur, because of course we have the Gwythi Rhudaur, and a unit of Imladris Riders. Oh, well, maybe not as cav-heavy as I thought it was going to be. Imladris Riders, or Imladris Guardians, not to be confused with, Imladris Sentinels or Imladris Sentries, because, they're all just synonyms for the same word. Yeah, 1 unit of Imladris Guardians there. Some Eldar Makar, Eldar Quinga out in front, no Eternal Warriors, Eldar Nihadu Masil, Eldar Itar forming up the center, another unit of Eldar Quinga, 3rd unit of Eldar Quinga. Oh, what do you know? Went a little bit over the red there, quite archer heavy as well, which is surprising. Unit of Gwythi Arthund, another unit of Eldar Makar, and I think that's going to do it for the High Elf, so a bit different than what I'm used to seeing. I hope that this army is one that does well. I like to see the off-meta armies perform well, because it just expands the possibilities of what we know is viable in Reforged. So it's always fun to see. Then over here we have Harad. Okay, I am gonna devolve into some talk next patch here, because I am really excited about it. Because Harad, as I've said in the past, is a faction that I do like to play quite a lot. Serpent Guard, getting a little bit smaller, but going to be getting faster and better in close quarters. they're going to make really strong lightning troops. The dismounted Serpent Guard as well, going to be going down to 123 men. This is obviously not played on Huge. There will be 123 men on Huge, and they'll be significantly better with like 10 melee defense and like 9 damage. So they'll be limited to 3, and relatively small compared to many of the units on the Harad roster and the human factions generally, but they'll be significantly better, and they will form an elite core of the Rhudaur army, which I think is a little bit more fitting for a unit like the Serpent Guard, rather than being relegated to being a mid-tier unit with fairly high numbers. So I think that's a cool direction to go in. Patrolmen of Harad, shrinking in size a little bit, getting kind of the same treatment that the dismounted Serpent Guard are getting. And then we got another unit of dismounted Serpent Guard over here, Southron Archers, Champions of Nafarat, and two units of Southron Warband, who are really strong spear units. Another unit of dismounted Serpent Guard here, Trollmen of Harad, yet more dismounted Serpent Guard again. Five units of dismounted Serpent Guard? Oh my goodness. This is something you probably won't see too much in the next patch, so enjoy it while you can. And then another unit of Serpent Guard over here on the wing. Now, we actually did miss a little bit here. Some Harad Archers out in front alongside the Southron Archers. I don't think we'll actually see any hidden rangers or anything like that. Oh, what do you know? I am missing another unit here of the Muhad Warriors and a unit of Black Serpent Bodyguards. So initially I was thinking that maybe there's some hidden units there, but that looks about right. So let's go ahead and move on now to the red team's army compositions. Across the field from Arkan's Harad army, we have the Dwarves of Erebor. And strap in, lore lovers. Yes, the unit we're going to start with is the Ironfoot Wargoats, of which I believe he has 1 unit of Ironfoot Wargoats. No, 2 units. 2 units, I believe, of the Ironfoot Wargoats. No, actually, one's Hammer Guard, one's Wargoats. Both right goats though, so yeah, I can hear you cringing from here. It's okay, it'll be all right. Oh yeah, and the Dwarves of Erebor are being played by Call Me Daddy. I refuse to do that. Instead, I will call him something else. Blacklock Engineers, Ironfoot Spears forming the front line. A lot of Ironfoot Spears. Wow, probably about the maximum amount of Ironfoot Spears. In fact, Ironfoot Spears mixed in there with the pikes as well. Got some Highborn of Erebor in the back. Very strong morale bonuses on them. It's like +5 and 100 meters, so very, very useful indeed for the Dwarves, who already have quite significant morale. It basically turns them into unstoppable killing machines that cannot be broken very easily. Ironfoot Warriors over here on the right wing, forming a reserve corps, and some Ironfoot Crossbowmen out in front. Very limited ranged options for most of the Dwarven factions. Yeah, just one of the guys getting a phone call. Thanks for bearing with me, everybody. But let's move on now to their ally. This ally forming the center of the red team army. We have Rhudaur being played by Revan of Korriban. He's brought a unit here of the Coldfell Maidens, who are Spear Cavalry, and a little bit of an exception to the Spear Cavalry rule, in that they have a shield and a secondary weapon as well. They've got some javelins, so they're a strong Jav Cav unit, which makes them even better against cavalry, because they can inflict some pretty decent damage without actually having to risk themselves in melee. And then when all is said and done, they're an okay Spear Cav unit. They do lack an armor-piercing charge. That's kind of the trade-off there from having another weapon attachment. As far as I know, units can only have 2 weapon attachments. I would like them to have an AP charge, but if you see a Spear Cav unit, or any Cav unit really with that secondary attachment, well, then you know that they don't have a third one in there as well. And they're trading something for it. Now over here we got some Rhudaur swordsmen. Really like these guys. Look really cool. I don't know where they came from. They look like Viking Raiders or something. I really do enjoy it. I think it might be from DAC. Got some Edmore Troll Hunters in the back here, who are going to change a little bit in the next patch. It's mostly a unit size thing, and I think they actually have the throne attributes, so they'll be good against Mumakil and other elephant units as more of them become available in the game. Got some Moranadine pikemen. Just so you know, elephant refers to a classification inside of the files that interacts in certain ways with a throne unit. So it doesn't necessarily have to be elephant-shaped to be affected by those kinds of things. So chariots, for example, count as elephants. Ents, I believe, will eventually count as elephants if they end up counting as elephants. Oh, wow, did I just give that away? Sorry, guys. Yeah, Ents are going to be in the next patch, too, and they're going to be freely available to the Woodland Realm. Surprise! I got a ballista over here as well, in front of Korriban's army, which is interesting. You don't usually see siege equipment from Rhudaur. Harad pikemen, Dunedain pikemen, although with nothing here to defend them. Interesting. Rhudaur swordsmen, more Harad pikemen, a bunch of Rhudaur clansmen out front, forming the center, probably here to defend the ballista. This is kind of sneaky. I like this. The ballista peeking out just enough so that it can fire unimpeded by the bodies of its comrades. Strange that the ballista has orcs manning it, although I guess it kind of makes sense. Maybe they're on loan from Angmar or something, so... I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it is something that I can definitely explain away. Add more Troll Hunters, unit of around 9 Nobles as well, Knight unit, who are going to be retaining their AP and melee. So they're going to be kind of a glass cannon, a little bit squishier than other Knights in melee and at ranged, but they do have some other strong traits that make up for that. Coldfell Maidens here again. And I think that does it for Rivendell Korriban's army, so let's move on to his to the red team's third and final ally, I should say. This is Arthedain being commanded by R.H. Longbard. Just really aggressively throwing it out there. It's not Longbard, it's Longbard! Arthedain Men-at-Arms, 2 units of Arthedain Men-at-Arms, a couple units of Mercenary War Chiefs, 1 unit of Knights of Numinas. Wow, I really kind of like this. It's like Roman Legion-esque with the tiers of infantry. And out in front, of course, we have the Arthedain Phalanx. Even Spearmen backing up Arthedain Pikemen, not Parkmen. Maybe they like to go to the park. I don't know. Never asked them. 2 units of Evendim Archers. 1 unit of Dunite Rangers who are already opening up. Interesting. I would probably not have put them on the main line because they're just going to get focused down. But maybe a new player. Maybe this will be a lesson learned. Dunite Scouts over here as well. 4 Nostarain Knights getting a lot better in the next patch as well. They're turning into 615 Archers since the... Dunite Mounted Company, who are Arthedain's current 615 charge Lancers. Did I say 615 Archers earlier? Well, they're not Archers. 615 Lancers. Are being turned into melee cav. So these guys will be picking up the slack, heavily armored. Very, very nice indeed. Then we have the Royal Court of House Amlythe, who are basically the 4 Nostarain Knights turned up to 11. And, yeah, another unit over here of the 4 Nostarain Knights. So some heavy cavalry from Arthedain, which is kind of what they're known for, at least in Reforged. And that does it for the army comp. So let's go ahead, jump into the battle. Hope you guys enjoy. So let's see who's going to be the first to make the initial move, take that initiative, and bring the fight to their enemy. Probably not the people with siege equipment, I would say. So certainly not Isengard. Looks like that's Ballista, maybe a bit out of range, or they're just waiting for an opportunity. So Isengard might just fall back from Arthedain, which is odd, because they definitely have a skirmish advantage here. 3 units of Uruk-hai Archers up front to those 2 units of Evendim Archers and a unit of Rangers. Now is a good opportunity, I think, maybe to be a bit aggressive with the rest of his army and thin out the skirmish fight, or thin out Arthedain's skirmishers, win that skirmish fight, and then have Arthedain at a pretty significant disadvantage, especially since there's really not enough of those Evendim Spearmen to go around. I think there's just 1 unit in the center here to cover 3 units of pikemen. So, questionable. Questionable indeed. Maybe maybe the plan here is to try and crush the center immediately. I don't know. Ballista from Rhudaur. Go start taking some pot shots at the Elves of Imladris, who definitely cannot afford to take those casualties and get nothing in return. So this is a great strategy to use against the Elves, who are quite vulnerable to attrition, if you can inflict it on them. You get into melee with them, though, and they are absolute devils. Yeah, definitely going to want to be careful. Ooh. Ooh, the Gwythi Arthon. Yeah, that's probably the best target for that as well. I'd definitely go for it. Especially with this tiered line that the Elves of Imladris are presenting. It's really impossible to miss as the Rhudaur Ballista. Imladris Riders moving over here to support their ally Harad, which is probably a good idea. Coldfell Maidens, I expect that they'll be used fairly defensively, and that still leaves the Knight unit. And of course there's a lot of archers there as well, so yeah, that's not a bad commitment. It's not weakening himself in a really significant way. Of course they'll be close enough to maybe even take some pot shots at one of the Coldfell Maidens over on the Rhudaur left, so that might soften them up when it comes time for their 2 armies to clash. Dwarves holding position as well. A lot of just sitting around so far. I may have to make a cut if this continues. What do we got going on over here? Ooh, 4 Nostarain Knights in close quarters against Warg Riders. They are going to lose that fight. The Warg Riders, their only job is to fight other cavalry. They don't do a lot on the charge, and they certainly will do less on the next patch. Yeah, not a good exchange here for the Arthedain forces. It seems like this speaks to a little bit of inexperience on the part of Longbard's side. And I was going to try and retreat, but he's going to do so right through the unit of Wargs, which is going to increase his casualties, potentially. Champions of the White Hand moving their butts in there. Ooh, great company nearby, too. I'm not going to do a ton to the Champions of the White Hand, who will prove to be nearly impervious to those 5 damage missiles. However, Stunlending Clansmen and the Wargs, who are quite low on armor, it's not going to be fun for them. 4 Nostarain Knights, it has to be said, has stood up reasonably well here. Although I think a lot of that has to do with the Dunedain Scouts also supporting them. So some great teamwork. Well, teamwork. Great use of micro and great use of supporting units here by the Arthedain player, who is in command of all of these forces. So it's not really teamwork. Warg Riders from Isengard limping their way back to the Isengard main line. That was not fun for them. Champions of the White Hand still quite strong, although they are taking some fire as they retreat. Probably going to knock off a little bit of HP there. And Arthedain seems to be in command of this fight, so hats off to RH Longbard. I thought it was going to be a massacre when I saw those Rain Knights next to some wargs, but he pulled it off. Albeit at great cost. There's a lot of dead horses on the field. Dunedain Scouts. Oh no! Oh no, Great Company! This is not what you want. Warg Riders almost getting a piece of the Great Company. Almost. But almost, as my as my grandpa says, only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And the Warg Riders are going to have to meekly run back to their lines with their hyenas' tails between their legs. Let's see what we got going on over here. Looks like the Haradrim might be taking the fight to Rhudaur, looking for an opportunity, probing, maybe. I wouldn't do this. I thought there was something a little bit more thought out going on, although it has to be said, those spearmen did take quite a lot of damage, but now the Serpent Guard are starting to take losses, some serious losses, so quickly that even their 15 morale didn't stop them from moving down to Shaken. What we got over here? Haradrim Archers peppering down Edmore's Troll Hunters. And they have like 9 shield and like 9 armor, and they'll have 10 next patch. This is not going to do a whole lot. And you can see the Edmore's Troll Hunters quite comfortably waiting out this arrow storm with minimal casualties being dealt to them. What do we got going on in the back here? It looks like some Imladris Riders have gone quite far afield, and they're going after the Coldfell Maidens. Coldfell Maidens have been driven very far out of position, far, far away from the rest of the Rhudaur army. Now, what do we got over here? Dwarves of Erebor actually moving forward. No longer content to just sit back. Well, they are going to be slow. This is going to be very slow going as they move towards the Haradrim force. And I think Harad's infantry will not stand a chance. Honestly, the Trollmen and such will probably do reasonably well. Champions of Nafra will be a problem for sure, as will the additional cavalry. But most of these units, Serpent Guard, they're not going to have. They're not going to have a snowball's chance in hell. Pulling out a lot of my grandpa's old sayings. Not going to have a snowball's chance in hell of beating the Dwarven infantry hand to hand. Imladris still sitting back, still getting dunked on. Let's see what Isengard is up to. I'd be very curious to know what they're doing with the rest of their army. Ooh, Trolls of the White Hand. These guys actually have a bonus versus cavalry. So the 4 Rain Knights charging into them and into the pikes. That's really unfortunate. They're going to break very, very quickly, as you would expect. It seems like some of the other 4 Rain Knights got cut down here. There's still the Royal Court of House Amlythe, who are in the process of cleaning up one of the remaining regular warg units. Champions of the White Hand moving forward. Very overextended unit of Even Archers, and Longbard is going to pay the price as those Champions of the White Hand run down these militia archers, and this will probably be enough to rout them. I think this is going to be the end for this unit. Yeah, there'd be very little reason to pull them out. Dunedain Scouts moving forward. Maybe they'll get some shots into the rear of the Champions of the White Hand, do a little bit of damage to them. Royal Court of House Amlythe getting shot in the rear by those 5 damage archers. Not going to be fun for them. Even in Archers fighting against the Champions of the White Hand, not really a whole lot being done on Ornor's side of things. I mean, there's Knights of Inuminas back here, just kind of sitting there. Not the greatest play there on the part of Arthedain, but again, I think he's a bit new, so we won't be jerks about it. Champions of Nargothrond. Imladris Guardians really getting focused down here by the catapult, or the ballista rather. Fair amount of damage being done. About 12 or so. Over 14, I think. Muhan Warriors standing proud against the Serpent Guard as they await the inevitable onslaught of Durin's folk. This is going to be unfortunate. Harad's just going to get swept aside here. Wonder if they have anything up their sleeve that they could use. A lot of Serpent Guard concentrating on their right wing. It might be that they try to use it aggressively against the Ironfoot. Especially, at least not the spears, but some of these other units would be pretty easy prey for them. Especially the back lines, Ironfoot warriors. That'd be no problem for the swift-moving cavalry. Take out the Highborns of Erebor. Now that would be a very good thing indeed. Cut off that source of morale. It's going to be some time, I think, before anything interesting happens on that side of the battle. Meanwhile, Rhudaur is still holding the line, although still holding their ground, I should say. Not really doing a whole lot, just peppering down their foe. Ballista has taken a fair amount of damage, but for the time being, Rhudaur is content to just sit there. Most players in this game seem content to just kind of sit there. Ooh. Oh, that Isengard Ballista at work, you can see. Very effective tool. Oh, wow. Devastating. Very effective tool against massed ranks of units like this, like the Phalanx of Arthedain, for example. Just kind of sitting out there taking it. I mean, they've had opportunities to move forward and to negate this and to take the fight to Isengard, which they could have done, I think, fairly ably. They have a lot of pikemen. And Arthedain does not have, or Isengard has comparatively few pikemen, so I think they would have done okay if they were a little bit more aggressive here. Oh yeah, and it's like point blank too. Look at this. This Isengard Ballista is just like out there doing its own thing. What do we got over here? Knights of Inuminas, just chilling, not doing anything proactive, while their army gets shot to bits. And let's see what's going on over here. Rhudaur may be moving forward. Maybe moving forwards, pushing their way towards the High Elves, but it seems like they're a little bit wary. Maybe it's inexperience. I don't know. Maybe it's just fear of all of those archers against Rhudaur's comparatively lightly armored roster. I don't know. Well, just Riders going for an attack of opportunity here against the Ballista. Let's see if they manage to rout it. Although at this point, I would venture rather to say that the Ballista has done its damage. What we got going on over here? Finally, the Dwarves and Harad have clashed. It seems like Erebor is going to get the better of this fight for sure. The Serpent Guards looking pretty well worse for wear here. Very strung out, fighting against a mostly unified Erebor force. Ironfoot crossbowmen taking some damage from the Southron archers, although they are quite heavily armored and they have a shield, so I don't think too much will come of that. A dismounted Serpent Guard all along the line, doing their best. Ironfoot warriors losing, mostly due to how these guys are wrapping around them. What about the cavalry? Ooh, Champions of Nephra gonna get hit by those Hammer Guard. Ooh, and like half the unit is gonna get gobbled up. Real unfortunate. Serpent Guard looked like they were being supported by the Southron Warband, but ultimately they got massacred. Ironfoot War Goats coming back. Maybe they're gonna go after the Southron Warband. I don't think this is gonna go well for anybody. I like that though. It's gonna be my screenshot for the thumbnail. Yeah, those warband are gonna massacre those War Goats. More reserves here coming in the form of yet more Serpent Guard. Champions of Nephra down to 19. They were at 50 a moment ago. Look at that, just a big pile of dead champions there. Gotta hack the Blacklock Engineers to bits. I mean, they are outnumbered here, but these guys hit hard and they're armor piercing. So I think the Blacklock Engineers being attacked at a disadvantage like this, yeah, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose hard. Speaking of losing, Serpent Guard are not performing very well at all against the Dwarven infantry, as you would expect, I would think. The Dwarves really invested heavily into their infantry corps. Harad trying to flank them, trying to break up their forces and try and destroy individual units as they manage to isolate them. But the center has held strong, and I don't know if there's going to be enough Haradrim left at the end to see the remaining Dwarven infantry off. Ooh, these guys are really suffering. Looks like Rhudaur nobles have moved in as well to support. Yeah, Harad's in a bind, and I don't think that they're going to be able to come out of it. Let's see what we got up here. Imladris. Now it's Imladris' turn to pew-pew their enemy while they're helpless to do anything about it. Rivendell Corvand has moved forward with some of his Dunman Pikemen, kind of presenting an easy target here for the North-Tier Warriors. It might be that he's trying to just get them to waste their ammunition on these shielded units or on these loose formation pikemen, and then they won't have it later when they need it to counter some of the other more heavier pikes. But I don't know. I'm looking at Rhudaur's force right now, and I don't think that infantry line is capable of beating what Imladris still has. They actually seem outnumbered against the elves, which is preposterous. Uruk-hai infantry, Uruk-hai pikemen taking on the Arthedain front line. I wonder how these pikemen are going to do. Probably not very well, since they are taking on several units of pikes simultaneously. But over here where the Uruk-hai infantry are present, they are going to be able to hack their way through the Arthedain men-at-arms. A little bit of support there from the Dunlending clansmen. Ooh. The reserves coming under attack now. The mercenary war chiefs, don't see them too often because of their lower morale scores. They're coming under attack by the Isengard ballista, blowing holes in their line. Got some routing here already, even a fairly large amount of Evendim spearmen fleeing from the battlefields. Uruk-hai pikemen standing their ground as they've managed to rout 2 units of Arthedain polearm units. Really unfortunate. Arthedain seems to be struggling quite a lot. Over here, though, where the pikemen have managed to hold their ground, they're doing much better. Uruk-hai archers engaged in close quarters against the Arthedain men-at-arms. That's going to be no problem for them. All in all, it seems like this could be anybody's game, although I am certainly favoring Isengard to win in this kind of fight. The Uruk-hai pikemen have routed some of the only things that can stop them. 2 units of Arthedain pikemen now gone off the field, while the Uruk-hai pikes are still in good shape. And Isengard has reserves yet to come as well. Champions of the White Hands hanging out, just casually routing the Arthedain left wing. And these Knights of Inuminos were off in La La Land. The Longbard really not using this powerful unit effectively at all. Now using some of his Dunedain Rangers to try and focus these guys down. It's really not worth it. They're not tightly packed enough to really get anything out of the body piercing. Alright, yeah, I would definitely give this to Isengard. I think they got this fight in the bag. What do we got here? Imladris still just focusing down Rhudaur as best they can. They've kind of taken the bait a little bit. I wonder who's playing them again. Finrod Filigan of Nargothrond. I think another one of the newer players. They've certainly taken the bait here and are focusing all of their attention on the Dunman pikemen. And I get the feeling that Rivendell Corvand is just kind of chuckling to himself as his enemies make this very foolish and costly mistake here of expending too much ammo too quickly. The Gwythi Rhudaur, where are they? They just killed an Arthedain general. I have no idea where that might be. Over here, the Dwarves have done very well against Harad. The Dwarves have definitely got this fight in the bag. There's going to be a lot of them left over, so I think the Dwarven player is going to be the one to save his team. Arthedain is not doing well, but the Dwarves might be able to pick up that slack. Running nobles from Rhudaur over here. Yeah, picking apart what remains of Harad. Take one last look at Harad here, everybody. This is the last you're going to see of them for this game. Black Oak Engineers still in the fight, eh? Well, I think they just executed some of their own units. That's really funny. But yeah, they didn't get taken out by the Champions of Nafarad after all. Samantha Serpent Guard getting in there to silence them. I don't think it's going to matter. Let's pop back over to the Arthedain fight. Because nothing is really happening in the center at the moment. Yeah, a lot of breaking. Some units coming back. Looks like Longbard might be trying to get those Evendim Spearmen out of there. There goes the Haradrim General, felled by a dart. Probably one of the crossbow bolts. Evendim Spearmen about to get overtaken by the Champions of the White Hand. I would not expect them to live very long, or to stand and fight for any significant length of time. And now most of the Arthedain army is in full retreat. I'm sure some of that is due, at least in part, to the Gwythi Rhudaur. They're going to finish the job right now, charging into the rear of the Arthedain pikemen, who are already pulling out at the last moment. The Arthedain pikemen were already shaken. Now they are wavering. Not going to take too long for these guys to fall, I think. Maybe we'll use that. I also kind of like this. With the smoke from the dust, and yeah, just looks cool. Rear charge down to the Arthedain pikemen. I think that's all she wrote for these guys. Oh, what do you know? There's some Nazgûl here as well. I didn't see them. And now Isengard is going to is going to be in charge. Arthedain's army is gone. Isengard is thoroughly in command of the field here, although we got another stand here. Rhudaur sent over some hidden units, a couple units of Rhudaur Axemen, to try and thin out the Isengard forces, who would have otherwise crushed them between the Elves and Maladris and their army. It would have been a very ugly situation for Rhudaur indeed. So you got to commend them for being proactive here. Mercenary War Chiefs, Arthedain Pikemen. Yeah, we have something resembling a credible army. Oh my goodness, Rhudaur Trollshaw Axemen. And this is where we're going to see those pikes really take it on the chin. Yeah, unfortunate for them. Mercenary War Chief charging in. Not a good idea. That'll be a waste. I think they're getting hit with some friendly fire as well, so that's probably going to rout these guys. I would not be surprised if it did. Wait for it. Okay, not today. The Mercenary War Chiefs are going to manage to hold together. Rhudaur charging down these Axemen. That's going to be ugly. Super out of position here. I don't know what he was thinking. Not exactly optimal play here with those Rhudaur Axemen. Very easy target for those Rhudaur to just get in and out, inflict some serious damage, and then flee. Arthedain and their pikemen digging their heels in alongside the Trollshaw Axe throwers. Now might be a good time to throw those Mercenary War Chiefs under the bus. Give those axe throwers a little bit more time. What we got here? Champs of the White Hand. Somehow reduced to 3. Don't know how that happened. See what's going on in the center over here. We'll come back to that fight in just a moment. I just want to take a quick pan around the battlefield. Yeah, Harad is no more. The Dwarves, there are less of them than I thought there would be. But still a not very negligible amount, which will allow Rhudaur potentially to assault the blue team. Is it the blue team center? I think they're the blue team. Allow the red team to assault the blue team center, maybe breaking it between the might of 2 armies. Well, it's really more like 1.5 at this point. The Dwarves are quite heavily reduced. What do we got here? Some Hereditary Rangers. Didn't even know we had these. They're going to be very useful against some of the Eldar Makar, especially against the Eldar Atar. With their lack of a shield, these light units are definitely a danger to at risk, I should say, to being quite quickly and handily destroyed by those ranger units. Over here, Uruk-hai infantry and what remains of Arthedain going at it. This is not a fight that Arthedain is going to win, however. They didn't do well when they had their full army. These remnants are not really going to make a huge difference. What we got over here? Hereditary nobles doing their best to deal with the Rhudaur, but they're going to be attacked in the rear by some Uruk-hai infantry. Great teamwork here on the part of the blue team. This valiant last stand, I gotta say, I appreciate it. Arthedain definitely doing their best here, but I don't think it's gonna amount to too much. Oh man, they still got some trolls and stuff too. This might be a fairly one-sided match, all things considered. Although for the time being, both sides are within 3% of one another. Trollshaw axe throwers. Ooh, some friendly fire there, but they are giving the business to the Isengard infantry. And to the small amount of reinforcements they've gotten so far. Snaga skirmishers, however, are taking a toll over time on those Trollshaw axe throwers. Oh, and the rest of them, yeah, they're going to get caught out here. Brain.exe stops working for javelin units occasionally, and they will not fire. And now those White Hand trolls leading the way are going to be backed up with some Nazakai and a unit of Uruk-hai archers. So this is going to end up being a defeat again for Arthedain and for the rest of the blue team. Ooh, some support, however, being given by the elves, showing up at the last minute, just like they did at Helm's Deep. A lot of missiles here, and that could be a problem for the Uruk-hai. Certainly enough that they could drown those trolls in Nazakaian bodies and inflict some serious damage on them. Though that will substantially weaken the elves in the center, and they're going to take this occasion to attack. Strangely enough, after denuding themselves of about half their force, they are going to go after the red team center. I think I got a little bit confused earlier. Arthedain is definitely not on the blue team. That is a red team army for sure. So the blue team seem to have this pretty well in hand, although of course there is still the matter of the dwarves. Quite a lot of them still left. And if they manage to move in and assist Rhudaur in blunting this bold but, in my opinion, quite foolish assault on the red team's center by the Realm of Imladris, well, maybe they can pull something out. Because Isengard is very worse for wear at this point. And with all of these, look at these elven units. Like, what is this? What was the point? I don't understand. They're just kind of running around, not really doing anything, and ultimately getting caught out by some pretty nasty elite units that'll make quick work of them. I don't understand the thought process there. Isengard, this is more or less what remains of them. There's a little bit of Uruk infantry in the back there, running down some Evendom spearmen, but for the most part, this is what's left. So the elves ran all the way over here for the pleasure of running back. A little bit confusing. Meanwhile, the elves moving in to try and surround Rhudaur. Rhudaur swordsmen getting charged in the flank by some Imladris guardians. They're going to have a field day cutting down those vastly inferior human swordsmen. And this is where the bad things happen for Imladris. And these pikes are going to shut down this push right quick. Although they have, to their credit, managed to get in there pretty quickly, but this another backup unit of Renanite pikemen got to come from the rear, and they're probably going to be instrumental in driving the elves back. Hammerguard here, coming in to assist the elves against the Edmure Troll Hunters. That is a spear unit, so this probably isn't the best deployment of those Hammerguard. Against these Rhudaur swordsmen here, who are looking to envelop the elves of Imladris' right wing, well, that might do it. That would certainly be a better target for the Hammerguard. Yeah, the High Elves are in a lot of trouble here. Although not so much over here with the Gwaithiarth and their higher tier swordsmen are present. Elornwe Haru Masil in the rear of the Rhudaur lines. Also, these Rhudaur swordsmen are on the verge of breaking. So each side here, the Elves of Imladris and Rhudaur have kind of won on one of the wings. Now I assume they're going to converge on the center, and this is where the decisive battle is going to take place. What do we got over here? Elves of Imladris. And the Ironfoot Hammerguard. Oh, the Hammerguard are assisting Rhudaur. Wow, I am getting real confused here. That is my bad, everybody. It's kind of hard to tell when it breaks down like this, and it's not like a clear good-evil distinction, so yeah, my bad. So the Dwarves of Erebor are over here, supporting Rhudaur. And the Elves of Imladris are in some serious trouble here. Oh yeah, I think they're going to get crushed quite soundly. They do have some reinforcements coming back. Isengard moving in at the same time. So the big showdown is going to take place here between the Elves of Imladris and their ally Isengard, and the remaining Dwarven forces and Rhudaur. It's going to be an interesting fight. Both sides looking to envelop and surround one another. These Trolls of the White Hand basically running around unchecked, destroying the Heredine Rangers. That's a big asset to lose. It would have been a huge thing to have against the Elves of Imladris, especially once they begin to commit these archer companies. Is that a ballista that I saw? Oh, there goes the Elves General. Scythed down by what I can only assume was crossbows. I was certain I saw an artillery shot go off. Might have been from here. Oh man, Rhudaur is in some serious trouble. Their center is surrounded. Their surrender. Well, they might as well surrender at this point with their center being surrounded, one of their wings being lost. I don't think Rhudaur is going to be able to hold on here without the Dwarves, who are really just taking their time. I don't understand. What is this? Why would you? I don't understand. Definitely some newer players, I think, in the game today. The Dwarves should be rushing with all haste to the aid of their ally. Yeah, I do not know why they would not do that. Meanwhile, Isengard has now arrived to support the Elves of Imladris, who have managed to cut their way out of the partial encirclement that Rhudaur effected on them. They've just got so much nasty stuff left over. Meanwhile, the Dwarves are kind of sitting on their hands. Hammerguard, yeah, we'll get a few kills. Nothing significant. Oh man, those crossbows taking bites of the Northern Eternal Warriors. I don't know why they're over here in the first place. This is very strange. So now the Dwarves finally moving in, although there's not really much of a Rhudaur left to save. Rhudaur pikemen fighting to the last. Currently they are locked morale. Definitely not intended. The Axemen and the Rhudaur pikemen are both locked morale. That is something that is going to change, by the by. So if you're looking at this and wondering, wow, why is morale so high? Well, it's because somebody, probably me, screwed up. Rhudaur pikemen deciding to run into the center where they are more easily surrounded. It's awful considerate of them. And the elves here driving into the dwarves. And the dwarves just are, they seem to be absent here. And now they're going to commit 2 units to fighting the Gwythiarthons, and the elves and Imladris will be able to surround with their Imladris guardians. Still a decent amount of Blacklock engineers. I wonder what they're going to do. This would be the obvious target. The Elder and Hedu Masil would suffer greatly at the hands of the Blacklock engineers. Trolls of the White Hands smashing through the wall of pikes presented by the Rhudaur pikemen, which is only going to hasten their demise. This is looking like it's pretty well over for the red team. I think blue team is going to be able to take this one. Yeah, a lot of the dwarven forces are just they're not fighting as a unified army. They're just kind of all over the place here. Some halberds running into pikes here in the center. There's, well, sort of off to the left of the center. The center has been completely obliterated because the dwarves waited so long to move in and support Rhudaur. Yeah, this is game over. What do we got going on over here? Ironfoot pikemen and Gwythiarthons. And I think some spears as well. The spears are getting hacked to bits by the Imladris Guardians who managed to surround them. Another company of Imladris Guardians over here. You have to hand it to the blue team. Again, I've seen this in 2 battles now. All of this like piecemeal fighting, not fighting with your allies, and one team taking advantage of that in a big way has led to some pretty resounding victories. So the last one, to be fair, was like 3%, within 3% of each other. But this one I think is going to be not quite so close. Indeed, not. But yeah, you gotta give it to them. The blue team has isolated their enemies, used their mistakes to great advantage. And ultimately, they are going to pull out a pretty strong victory here. Probably at least of 10% by the end of it, I would say. Ooh, Blacklocks maybe getting off one final shot there. I wonder if they're going to win. Oh, yeah, the Blacklock Engineers are going to get hacked to pieces by these elite Noldor swordsmen. That's not even going to be a competition. Rhudaur Shattered Remnants gone. A unit of Ironfoot Spears just kind of sitting out here when they could be used to do other things. Nazakai charging in against Ironfoot Warriors. Yeah, there's so many of them left over. So much of Isengard was able to make it out of that scrap with Arthedain very, very much intact, that unless the Dwarves were fighting together and managing to get their enemies to break themselves from on the front of their shield wall, I think this was perhaps always a bit of a foregone conclusion. Let's go ahead and turn it up to 1.0. Got a few hundred frames left. Isengard beginning its push here to break the remnants of the dwarves. Other enemy Hedu Masil, fresh off of massacring the Blacklock Engineers. And now the dwarves over here are surrounded by 2 units of the Imladris Guardians and the Gwythiarthon pushing them hard. It's going to be it. Let's go ahead, hit it up to 2.0 speed. And we'll witness the end here, the final stand of the Dwarves of Erebor. And there you have it. There's some Sons of the Fallen? Maybe. Maybe there's just officers. The Dwarven General has gone down. The Dwarven forces are all but annihilated. And that was a really strong victory. I think it was like 83 to 97 or something like that. Let's take a look at some of the kills. We can get it for the whole team here. Yeah, it's just going to be for Isengard. An interesting fight. Definitely between some newer players. And that's okay. But there was a lot of mistakes that were made there. And yeah, it's always good to point those out. So it's a learning experience for everybody. For those watching, for those that are in the battle, maybe they make their way to the channel and kind of see where they went wrong. And yeah, it's just a useful pedagogical tool to show some replays like this. So hopefully, I know not everyone likes to watch the one-sided replays, but I think that this one was useful, and it does kind of demonstrate a bit of a trend that we've in the last 2 videos at least, where people do not fight with their teammates. So that's something that you want to make sure you absolutely do in every case. You have a far better chance, even if they are running into a stupid situation and you are fairly confident at least that you can't save them. Try anyway, and do your best, and you never know, you might just surprise yourself. But in any case, hope you guys enjoyed that. My name is Jordan, also known as J Monster. I'm gonna be coming out with I think the next video is going to be a conquest tournament, and then we will start in with some test patch stuff. Specifically, I'm going to be putting something up on the Reforged channel, the official channel, about the campaign that's coming to Reforged. We actually have a fairly decent working copy of that. It is still like alpha. It's like pre-alpha in a lot of ways. But I am going to show off some of the things that we have that are done on the campaign, and talk a little bit about some of the philosophies that we're going to apply to the campaign as development progresses, and yeah, just a lot of campaign talk. So prepare yourselves mentally to have me talk your ear off for an hour-long episode, because that is exactly what is going to happen. But in any case, my name is Jordan, also known as J Monster. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.